Yeah, that attraction meter just kind of went up a little bit right there.
Yeah, dude, 100%. Dude, speaking of attraction meter, I don't know what's up with your campaign here. You have the craziest contact rate right now. That's really good. 19.98% contact rate. That is the highest maybe I've ever seen. If not, it's like the second highest. So look at this. We spoke to 120 people
Yeah.
on 613 dials. Wow. Now, the downside of this is the leads are good, but it's not that many leads considering the conversations we're having, if that makes sense, you
Oh
know?
yeah. Yeah.
But
It
but
makes sense.
yeah, 7 leads on 1,000 is still amazing, you know. But I think if we start looking at 7 leads on 200 conversations, it's not that it's not amazing, but it might just show that I do see you have Bentonville in here. So this could be potentially which is no big deal, a more popular area in Arkansas, potentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're looking at it's one thing that we'll probably do in the new year, looking at a new market, kind of not as saturated, but still more kind of like in the medium range, not dead, has some good what's the word? Good comps and stuff like that. So we're looking
Yeah.
at that starting with the new year. I think we have about 1,000 dials left, so I'm going to send in
Yeah.
probably a new list, and it's from the same sources, so hopefully we get some pretty good contact rate. I would say
I like
the
that.
the what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I just said I love that. That 20%. I mean, you're sending over good stuff. I did have a question. Are
Yeah.
you texting at all on your own? Or
Yeah. So on my own, we text. We'll text the ones that we feel comfortable with texting and that we'll send over. Not the list that I sent you. We're texting. We're texting other individuals.
gotcha. If you're open to it, I would have us text this list as well and just see apples to apples, what happens. We offer texting and it's very inexpensive. Too, it's like 12 cents per phone number you provide me. So 1,000 records is just what is that, $120?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it's really and it would be cool to see this list. I always like to see everything split tested, quote
Right.
unquote, right? Like let's see, let's kind of see what's happening. But that's the only thing that comes up for me looking at these stats. And these are good, and your contact rate's great too. So when you send over another one, is it going to be the same area? Or is it going to be a different area, you think?
Same state, just a different area. We did actually text this list. I think
Okay,
we did like the
got it.
2,000 dials, 1,000 texts, and I can't remember how many text leads we got, but we did get some come in the door where we're trying to like still work with and figure out, if they're actually serious and whatnot. So I think
Yeah,
they text the majority of the list that we sent over.
gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, and then yeah, and texting definitely I do. They are generally the ugliest leads, that you can come by is how I like to word it. They're still leads, but they're as ugly as leads get,
Yeah,
generally.
yeah. The way I use texting and cold calling, it's great to test out a market to see if it's even a market worth going into. Because get that
Yeah,
quick response. Do you want to spend $10,000 in letters? Do you want to make 1,000 phone calls? Like,
yeah, right.
yeah, that's kind of how I am. I think my biggest thing has been, we're getting the leads, we're getting some leads in. I would say the hardest thing has been the transition from like you guys call, you get the information, and we try and call, and then like no answer. You know, I try and
Yeah,
call, no answer. I'll call again, no answer. That time I'll leave a voicemail, say, "Hey, you spoke with XYZ from the notes."
yeah,
I think that the handoff has been the hardest thing.
yeah.
That and then obviously this is my point of view, or from my side, not you guys. Making those offers been kind of tough when you're trying to get something that's gonna the numbers work out for you.
Right. And then you're doing land, right?
Yep, that's right.
Gotcha. And no, we've definitely heard that before too. I know with land, sometimes it's easier. One thing you are doing the right thing. One thing I would recommend is every time you call voicemail, then follow up text. I think. And I say to do it 6 times over 2 weeks. Um, I know with land, they can sometimes be a little easier than maybe a homeowner. Just from not, I'm saying your experience, but just from talking to people, I think people that own land have a less stressful life, in my opinion, most
Yeah.
often. But I would try that too. And then what's your speed to call them after we send the lead over?
So typically it's in a few hours is my goal.
Okay,
Like
gotcha.
they'll send it over. Say I get the email and the text at 11 o'clock. Typically around like 2 o'clock, I'm trying to give them a call. Worst case scenario, it's the next morning.
Yeah. That's not too bad. What I would try to do as a test, maybe this week or on the next list or whatever it is,
Yeah.
try to call them within an hour. You
Okay.
know, even 30 minutes. I have this funny saying that I say, and I say, we already know they're in the mood to pick up strange phone calls because they just
Right.
answered ours, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm just saying, try to prove that right or wrong. You know, if you call four within 30 minutes and no one answers, you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna keep doing it the other way because no one's
Yeah.
answering either way, right? But if you're like, holy shit, I just got three people on the phone, okay, maybe it's the speed. And I recommend that. I don't know if we spoke about this. I don't know your exact land strategy, but I really recommend the land call look something like this. Okay. Hey, I just got the information from Sherry about the 3-acre property in Texas. Yeah, well, Sherry told me that you were considering selling. Well, look, I'm going to do some due diligence and then I'm going to send over an offer in the next 48 hours. All right. Now, if you have any questions or if we're close on price, just give me a call back on this number. I'd love to make this deal happen.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, so you're not really giving them a chance to talk. You're giving them a customer service touch and you're saying, because really here's what we've learned. And forgive me if I'm repeating myself. I know we spoke
No,
about
go ahead.
Here's what we've learned is if you would rather start at your price and be super friendly and work your way up than start at their price and not have a chance in hell to working your way down.
That's
You
interesting.
know?
Yeah.
And my theory is this. If there is no Zillow for land, there's no Zillow for land. Okay. Which means they do not know the value of their land. Okay.
Right.
So if someone walked up to you and like, here's a great thing. Well, let me finish that thought. If they don't know the value of something, don't ask them the value of it. Okay. And now let me word this differently into something you own. Okay. Let's say you have a car and some guy walks up, hey man, how much for that car? I don't know, 60,000. Like,
Yeah.
oh, is it worth 60,000? I don't know, dude. You just asked. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a good
but
point.
if that same person walks up and goes, dude, I got $30,000 cash for that car right now, you'd be like, oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. So like the psychology behind it too, a little bit of like, if since there's no Zestimate online and they also don't know the value, I wouldn't ask them. I would start with what you perceive it and find the compromise.
Yeah, yeah, no, I like that. I like that. I think it goes against because it's popular with people like negotiation. You're the first one to throw out the first number, you're gonna lose it, or you're already
Right.
losing at that point. But it's good because you're right. Most people don't know the value. They have an idea and it's sometimes extremely inflated or whatever it may be. So I'll definitely try that out. Are you guys for the clients that you're working with? Are you having them send like an actual email with the offer? Because I see that kind of with the contact. Or are they calling? Because this is what I do. I'll talk with them, get some information. Hey, I'll call you back with a number in a few hours or tomorrow. Call them back, give them the numbers. We kind of go back and forth. What are you typically see is done?
So what I've been advising is what you've been doing, except I would let the number only come over with the contract. That's what I would do. Okay. So you're doing the right thing, making the call. I never recommend just offer because they're not going to like you enough to consider it. Right. But you making that touch using that script I just gave you or something similar to what you're doing. And instead of saying, I'll call you with some numbers, say, look, I'm going to send you an offer with some numbers on it. Okay. And I recently went to a mastermind and I've got another really good tip on the offer. What you want to do is he sends over a Loom video walking the seller through the contract. Okay.
Okay.
So imagine you make the first touch like you are, and you say, look, I'm actually going to send you over an explainer video and the contract in the next 48 hours. Let me know if you have any questions. And the guy in the mastermind who does it says he does this on every offer. And that almost every single person, even if they don't accept it, calls him up and thanks him for educating them. And the reason I share that next part is because that's keeping the conversation going.
Right.
And you can be like, well, how far off was I? Well, hey, yeah, well, you know, here's a great line. Well, I think it's worth more. Well, awesome. Yeah, you know, maybe tell me about that, because maybe I missed it when I ran my due diligence, right?
Yeah.
Is there a mountain range nearby or a lake on the property? It's like almost speak to them like you're on their side. Like, yeah, hey, let's build value together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of what the main strategy we see. The client makes the first touch, and then they do the due diligence and the comps and the offer, or they'll have a VA do the due diligence and the comps, and then they'll set up the offer, but the VA will direct mail the offer out.
Interesting. Okay. I may try that. I like that. I'm gonna definitely try that Loom video, send him with the offer. It adds that nice touch. Make sure you're not just from, wherever country, and showing
That's right.
So I'll actually try that out. I know. So just so you know, we paused our campaign just until January 2nd. Just with the holidays, I'm not gonna be able to get to them as quicker as I like. But January 2nd, we're hitting the ground running, kind of right back at it. Got a new list going. But all in all, I think it's been pretty successful. I'll do those changes on my end to make it that much more successful, as well as send in that new list and test it out. So hopefully the new list is as good as the old list, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and the beauty of these calls is we'll be able to dive in, and if it's not, we've got, because we keep this old report, right? And then we'll always be able to split test results. So that's one of the cool things about using us, is you're not taking your finger off of the pulse of what's going on. And and if the results dip, now we know we can discover why. Maybe it's more metro, maybe it's something. But that's one of the big takeaways from this. Sometimes learning what not to do is just as good.
Yeah. 100% agree with that. Well, man, listen, I appreciate the time kind of going over it. I hope you have a good trip out to California. If possible, can I get this recorded?
Absolutely. I'll send it right over to you, man.
All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joshua. Have a good one, brother. Have a Merry Christmas.
You too, man. Take it easy.